There's something really powerful that happens when you reach what is called the individuation stage of life. And this is the time when you become more secure in who you are. Your emotional intelligence level, it peaks. Your boundaries sharpen. In other words, you are becoming clearer and more assertive about what it is that's acceptable to you in relationships. And this is because your tolerance level for foolishness drops. You become clear eyed. Your self respect becomes non negotiable. And you start refusing to compromise on how you deserve to be treated by others. When you hit 50 plus, it's the moment you need to start realizing you're not new to this thing. You need to just embrace it and become true to it. Hey, everybody, it's your girl, Coach G, your certified transformational coach with a master's in psychology and a PhD in life. And my goal is to help you shift the way you think so you can shift the way you live. So let's get into it. You've been through enough. Let's just start there. You've seen enough, you've survived enough, and you've gotten up enough times after being knocked down to know exactly who you are, even if you haven't honored that about yourself. Now, that being said, I'm here not necessarily to preach to you or to tell you what you should have done. I'm here to sit with you like I am your sister or your bestie, and we're sitting out on the back patio somewhere with our shoes off, coffee or tea in our hand, tea preferably for me. And we're talking about the things we didn't get from a podcast or an inspirational quote or meditation, not even from grandma or mom. This wisdom has come through your own lived experiences. So let's keep it 100. By the time you reach 50, it feels as if you've already lived all these different lives. It's like you've lived in these alternate universes where you were forced to be somebody that you didn't like. You were either too passive, you were too agreeable when you didn't want to be, you didn't speak up for yourself, and you let people just get away with anything, right? You've been someone who has tried to be that nice person, that woman who was told to stay in a toxic situation for the children, to take care of the house, and just suffer in silence. And so you ended up taking care of everyone else but yourself. And that was because you were programmed to do that from a child, that your life was not your own. And so you ended up staying in situations that you should have gotten out of a long time ago. You've been that person who believed people's words over what they actually did, carrying everybody else's problems while you were neglecting your own. But now, here you are. You have arrived. You are 50 or 50 plus, and it's your time to set the course for the second half of your life, to become the version of yourself you always knew was in there, the one you hadn't fully met yet, or maybe the one you were too afraid to step into because she didn't want to be judged. And this is why I say you're not new to this. You just needed to become true to this, true to yourself. You've lived enough life to know what's real and what's noise. And you need to stop giving audience to anyone who mistakes your kindness for weakness. Because what happened was uh, over your 20s, your 30s, your 40s, was that some people got way too comfortable and they started taking your grace for weakness, your patience for permission, and being your agreeable self that you've always been. They just did anything and thought you were okay with it. And it's time for you to not be afraid to stand 10 toes down on the truth of who you are right now. And that's not to say that even with all that experience, you won't sometimes forget and slip backwards because we forget how many times we've had to start over. We forget how many times we've had to rebuild ourselves from broken and scattered pieces because we forgot the lessons. We forgot how many times we've been taken advantage of, blindsided, or underestimated, but we always found a way to come back. We always found a way to recalibrate. But I believe this season of life is a time for remembering. And I don't mean remembering in a bitter way, but I want you to look back in a way that grounds you because 50 plus should be the I know who I am now season. And you no longer have to give passage to disrespect and not honoring who you are. When you allow yourself to really sit and think about how far you've come, about the things you've gone through at this age, you don't owe anybody anything. You don't have to be quiet because what you have to say might make somebody feel uncomfortable. Their problem. That's not your problem. You don't have to pretend you don't see what you see. You don't have to ignore your intuition just because you don't want to rock the boat. You've earned the right to trust your own voice, to say no without explaining yourself. You've earned the right to walk away from anything that costs you your peace. And you most definitely have earned the right to stop auditioning for people's applauses. And I know some of you listening might be thinking, well, Coach G, I hear you, but I still struggle with that. And I want you to know that that's okay. Because even though we're seasoned, even though we've lived, even though we are wiser now, we're still human. We still have soft spots. We still have our habits that need to be broken. You don't break habits overnight. We still have places where we doubt ourselves, times where we're unsure. And as I stated before, there will be moments where you will slip back into patterns you thought you had overcome. But I want to encourage you. That doesn't mean you're failing. It just means you're still evolving. And evolution is something I don't think ever stops just because you hit a certain age. If anything, this is the age where evolution gets good because now you're learning how to move away from the chaos, not wallow in it. You're growing and living your life with purpose. This halfway point is the time of your life that you should be you should live with more clarity. You should be clear-eyed. It's about looking back without getting stuck there and having regrets all over again. Because should've, would've, could've, have left the building. It's about taking inventory. It's about moving forward with more wisdom, with more confidence, with more peace, recognizing that you're starting from experience. And experience is a powerful foundation. So that's your starting point. All those things that you've learned, all those things that you've gone through, they were stepping stones to a wiser you. So as I get ready to end this particular episode, I want you to do something for me. I Want you to think about the moments in your life where you knew better, but you didn't do better. I don't want you to judge yourself. I just want you to understand where you were in that moment. What was happening? What were you thinking? What were you feeling? What was going on inside of you that made you accept the things that you accepted? I want you to think about the times you ignored your intuition when it tried to warn you not to go a certain route, not to choose a particular person because they were eye candy, only to find out how sour they were once you got a taste of their true character. You tried to hang on to friendships because you didn't want to seem difficult or ungrateful or dramatic, or you didn't want to come across as needy. I want you to think about the times you stayed in situations that were toxic because you didn't want to hurt someone's feelings. Listen, I've been there. Every single one of us have been there. But you can't allow those moments to define who you are. They were classes in life that we all had to go to, lessons that we needed to learn. The beauty of being 50 and over is that you finally have enough distance to see the lessons without reliving the pain of those lessons. And let me say this, you are allowed to outgrow people. You are allowed to outgrow places that can no longer hold you as a person because you've outgrown those spaces. You've outgrown those people. You're allowed to want more. You're allowed to stop explaining your why, to stop explaining your worth. You're allowed to stop carrying relationships that only move when you push them. You're allowed to stop being the strong one for everybody else. You deserve to take a pause, to take a break, to take a rest. So, as we move through this series, I want you to give yourself permission. I want you to be open. I want you to be honest about what it is you want and what it is you deserve, about what you've tolerated and what you're no longer going to accept in your life. At this age, honesty is a gift you give yourself. We're not new to this. We're true to this. And I want to tell you something. I want you to know that this next go round, you are going to live your life on your own terms. Next week, we're going to have a shared wisdom episode where we'll share about the things we wished we'd known sooner and the things we finally understand. But for now, I want you to just sit with this truth. You've lived enough life to know better, and you're wise enough now to do better. Not for anyone else, but yourself. Can we do it? Hey, everybody. Thank you for listening in. I hope something that was said has given you a different perspective on how you intend to live in this next chapter of your life. Share this episode with someone. Leave a comment. Let me know you were here. Don't forget to hit the like button and please subscribe. Listen in next Wednesday at 6 a.m. on YouTube and Spotify as we continue this series, Grown Women's Conversation. And until then, get out there and conquer the world. And if not the world, conquer yourself.